Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have it all figured out? They wake up without hitting the snooze button, they hit the gym before breakfast, they tackle their work with laser-focused attention, and somehow they're constantly achieving their goals. Meanwhile, you're struggling. You're trying again and again, but somehow you keep falling back into the same patterns. You keep breaking your own rules. And this frustration has probably led you to ask yourself some painful questions that keep you up at night. Why can't I become disciplined? Why does my motivation feel strongest on Monday, but by Wednesday, it's completely gone? Why do I keep sabotaging myself when I know exactly what I should be doing? Maybe you felt this too. Deep down, there's a part of you that genuinely wants to do something extraordinary. You want to change something fundamental about your life, about who you are. But there's this invisible force, this pull toward your comfort zone, pulling you back from where you want to go. And you're starting to believe that discipline is just something you don't have. Maybe it's a talent that some people are born with. Maybe it's something only special people possess. Maybe you're just not one of them. But what if I told you that everything you believe about discipline is completely wrong? What if discipline isn't a talent at all? What if it's not something that God gifted certain people and left the rest of us behind? What if the secret that separated the most successful people from everyone else wasn't actually a secret at all, but a simple truth that anyone can understand and anyone can apply? Today, in this video, we're going to explore that exact truth. We're going to dive deep into a journey of transformation. We're going to talk about a man who found himself losing himself again and again, but who eventually discovered a system that molded him, shaped him, and gradually transformed him into the person he always wanted to be. Throughout this video, you're going to learn how to create discipline from nothing. You're going to discover how to maintain it even when life gets difficult. And most importantly, you're going to understand how discipline can transform your entire identity into something that feels permanent, something that can never be shaken. In this video, you won't just learn theory. This isn't just another motivational talk that makes you feel good for a few hours and then fades away by evening. This is a mirror that will show you exactly what you can become if you decide to let discipline into your life. This is the beginning of your new chapter, if you're willing to take it. So stick with me through this entire journey because what you're about to learn will change everything. Let me start by asking you something that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever really paid attention to the people around you? I mean, truly paid attention. Think about someone you know who's genuinely successful. Not someone who got lucky through inheritance or family connections, not someone who had advantages handed to them on a silver platter, but someone who actually built something meaningful for themselves from the ground up. Someone who started with nothing special and made something remarkable. Now think about their background. Maybe they weren't the most talented person in their school. In fact, maybe they weren't even the smartest. Maybe they didn't grow up with exceptional resources or opportunities. Maybe they weren't the most charismatic or the most naturally gifted in any particular way. Yet somehow they went miles ahead in life. They achieved things that seemed impossible to everyone around them. They built careers, businesses, relationships, and lives that most people only dream about in their wildest imagination. On the other hand, think about someone else, someone who had every advantage imaginable. Intelligence, overflowing with it. Talent, abundantly blessed. Ideas, creative and innovative ideas flowing constantly. Resources, available whenever needed. Family connections, strong and powerful. Yet somehow this person is stuck. They're not moving forward. They're not building anything meaningful. They're not becoming who they wanted to be when they were younger. Years pass and nothing changes. Decades pass and they're still in the same place, wondering what went wrong. So what's the difference between these two people? It's not luck. It's not intelligence or IQ. It's not resources or talent or ideas or family background. The difference is discipline. This one word explains everything. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who succeed from those who don't. Discipline is what makes the difference between someone who dreams and someone who does. It's the missing ingredient that transforms potential into reality. Discipline is a quiet force. It doesn't make a lot of noise, it doesn't create drama or spectacle, it doesn't announce itself to the world. You won't see discipline on social media or in the headlines. You won't see it on the news or in magazines. You won't see people celebrating it or talking about it at parties. But inside your life, working silently and consistently, discipline is reshaping everything. It's changing your habits. It's changing your results. It's changing your capabilities. It's changing who you are at the deepest level. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Most people think that motivation is what drives success. They believe that you need inspiration and excitement. They think to accomplish great things, you need to feel motivated every single day. They think that successful people wake up every day excited and energized about their work. But here's the truth that most people never discover. Motivation is temporary. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is like a wave that comes and goes. A wave comes, and when it does, it feels absolutely amazing. You feel energized. You feel like you can conquer the world. You're pumped up and ready to take action. Your mind is clear and focused. Every cell in your body is saying yes to what you want to do. The dopamine is flowing, but waves don't stay forever. They come and they go. They come in, reach their peak, and then they recede back into the ocean. And if you're waiting for motivation to do your work, to pursue your dreams, to build your life, then you're going to find yourself stuck in the valleys between those waves. You're going to have long periods where nothing happens, where nothing changes, where no progress is made, because you're waiting for the feeling to come back. But think about the greatest musicians in the world. Think about Beethoven, one of the greatest composers who ever lived. Do you think he composed only when he felt inspired? Do you think he sat around waiting for inspiration to strike like lightning before he put pen to paper? Do you think Beyoncé, one of the most successful performers of our time, practices only when she feels inspired? Do you think she wakes up every morning feeling energized and excited to rehearse for hours? Do you think Mozart composed masterpieces only when inspiration struck? The answer is absolutely no. They practiced. They showed up. They pushed through the boredom and the fatigue and the desire to do something else. They pushed through the days when inspiration was nowhere to be found. They pushed through the criticism and doubt. They did the work anyway because they had made a decision. They had decided who they wanted to become as an artist, and they were going to do whatever it took to become that person. Their dedication wasn't based on how they felt. It was based on a commitment to their vision. Or think about the greatest athletes in the world. Think about Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, two of the greatest soccer players who ever lived. Do you think they woke up every morning feeling excited to do grueling training sessions? Do you think they never had days where they'd rather rest? Of course they did. They're human. But they showed up anyway. They trained anyway. They pushed themselves anyway. Or think about Michael Jordan. Do you think Michael Jordan loved every single practice? Do you think he was excited every single day? No, but he did it anyway. He showed up anyway. He pushed through anyway. Why did they do this? Because these people made a decision about who they wanted to become. And then they made a choice to stay on the path toward that person even when it got difficult, even when it got boring, even when it hurt. That choice, made again and again, day after day, moment by moment, is discipline. Discipline isn't about being superhuman. It's not about having special willpower that other people don't have. It's not about working harder than everyone else. Discipline is power, but not the kind you think. Discipline is simply the choice to take yourself back to the right path when you start drifting away. It's choosing to pick up your book at 11 in the evening instead of scrolling on your phone. It's choosing to go to the gym instead of staying home in your comfortable bed. It's choosing the difficult but right decision instead of the easy but wrong one. It's choosing a salad instead of pizza. It's choosing to study instead of party. It's choosing to speak up instead of staying silent.
It's choosing growth instead of comfort. This is what discipline really means in practical terms. And here's something that might surprise you. Discipline isn't restriction. This is a fundamental misunderstanding that most people have. Most people think of discipline as a cage. They think of it as limitations and constraints and rules that trap you and prevent you from doing what you want. They think of it as deprivation. They think of it as suffering. But the opposite is actually true. Discipline is what liberates you. Discipline is what unlocks the life you truly deserve. This is the paradox that most people never understand. Because without discipline, you're not actually free. You might think you are, but you're not. You're controlled by your impulses. You're controlled by your feelings. You're controlled by whatever you feel like doing in any given moment. You're a slave to your desires. If you feel like eating junk food, you eat junk food. If you feel like scrolling on your phone, you scroll on your phone. If you feel like skipping the gym, you skip the gym. You're not making decisions, you're just reacting to your impulses. You're like a ship without a captain, tossed around by every wave and every wind. But when you become disciplined, something fundamental shifts inside you. You take back control. You become your own master. Your feelings don't control you anymore. You control them. You decide when to get up in the morning. You decide what to do and when to do it. You decide which direction to go. You decide what kind of person you want to be, and you actively become that person. And this is the real freedom. This isn't the freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want it. This is the freedom to be who you want to be. This is the freedom to build the life you want to build. This is the freedom to create the future you actually want instead of just drifting into whatever happens. And that is infinitely more valuable than the illusion of freedom that most people chase. Discipline also frees you from one of the most painful experiences a human being can have: regret. Regret is a special kind of suffering. It's not just sadness, it's not just disappointment. It's the pain that comes from knowing you could have done something, but you didn't. It's the suffering that comes from looking back and seeing all the opportunities you missed. It's the ache of knowing you had the ability, but you didn't act. And most people's lives are absolutely full of regret. They regret the years they wasted on things that didn't matter. They regret the opportunities they didn't take. They regret the habits they let form that destroyed their health. They regret the relationships they damaged through negligence. They regret not pursuing their dreams when they had the chance. But discipline protects you from this. Discipline means that even years from now, when you look back at this period of your life, you won't feel regret. You won't feel like you wasted your time or squandered your potential. You won't feel like you gave up too early or settled for less than you deserved. You'll feel proud. You'll feel like you did what needed to be done. You'll feel like you took responsibility for your life. You'll feel like you became who you wanted to become. And that feeling is worth more than any temporary pleasure or comfort. So remember this as we move forward. Discipline is the bridge between who you are right now and who you want to become. Every successful person who has ever lived has crossed that bridge using discipline. And it's not because they were born special. It's not because they had a secret advantage that nobody else had. It's not because they had magical powers. It's because they understood this truth and they applied it. And you're understanding it right now. The foundation upon which every single success is built is discipline. Let's dig deeper into this because this is crucial to understand. This understanding will change your entire approach to personal transformation forever. Most people's entire approach to self-improvement is built on a foundation of sand. They're waiting for motivation. They're waiting for the perfect moment when the stars align. They're waiting for inspiration to hit them like lightning. They're waiting for that feeling of excitement and energy that will propel them forward. And because of this belief, their lives never change. Do you know why? Because motivation is unreliable. Motivation is unpredictable. Motivation cannot be depended upon. Let me give you a very real example that you've probably experienced yourself. Think about the beginning of January. Every single year, the new year comes around and something almost magical happens. It's like the entire world makes a collective decision to change. Gyms suddenly fill up with people. People buy new gym clothes and sneakers. People commit to diets and weight loss plans. People join expensive courses they've been putting off. People sign up for meditation apps and language learning apps. There's this surge of energy and hope and possibility everywhere you look. Everyone's motivated. Everyone's excited. Everyone's energized. Everyone believes this is going to be the year everything changes. Everyone's talking about their New Year's resolutions. But then look at what happens by the end of January. By February 1st, the gyms are noticeably emptier. By mid-February, they're much quieter. By March, the gyms are back to their normal, less crowded state. Most people have quit. By April, if you ask people about their January resolutions, most people have completely forgotten about them. They don't even remember what they promised themselves they would do. Why? Did people suddenly lose their intelligence in February? Did they suddenly become lazy? Did something bad happen that made them give up? No. The truth is much simpler and much more important to understand. The motivation wore off. The wave passed. The initial excitement and energy faded away. And without discipline underneath, without a deeper commitment, there was nothing to sustain the behavior. And that's why they quit. This is the key insight. Motivation gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. And here's the thing that most people never understand. Life is actually designed in a way that makes motivation unreliable. Motivation is typically based on emotion. It's based on how you feel. It's based on external circumstances. It's based on whether something new feels exciting or not. It's based on dopamine hits and external rewards. But life is not designed to be exciting all the time. Life is not designed to provide constant stimulation and rewards. Life has valleys and peaks. There are seasons where things are hard. There are seasons where you're working and working, but the results aren't showing up. There are seasons where the initial excitement has worn off, but you haven't reached your goal yet. And in these seasons, motivation absolutely evaporates like water in the desert. The novelty is gone. The excitement has worn off. The immediate results aren't showing up. The dopamine hits have stopped coming. And if you're depending on motivation, if you're depending on that feeling, you're going to quit. You're going to give up, and you'll be back to square one.
Think about learning a language. When you first start learning a language, it feels exciting. It feels fresh. You're learning new words every day. You can measure your progress. You're making immediate gains. You can see yourself getting better. So motivation is high. You feel like you're making progress. But then you hit something that language learners call the plateau. You're still studying every single day. You're still putting in the effort, but your progress seems to slow down dramatically. You're still learning, but it doesn't feel like you're getting better anymore. You're not learning as many new words per day. You're not having those breakthrough moments. You're not seeing the rapid progress you saw in the beginning. And if you're depending on that feeling of rapid progress to keep you motivated, this is exactly where you'll quit. This is where you'll decide that learning a language is too hard, too slow, not worth it. But if you're disciplined, if you're committed to becoming a person who speaks this language, then you don't quit. You don't care that the progress is slower now. You don't care that you're not feeling that excitement anymore. You don't care that there are no immediate rewards. You've made a decision about who you want to be, a person who speaks this language, and you're going to keep showing up day after day, regardless of how it feels. And this is exactly where most people fail. This is the valley where most dreams die. This is where the disciplined separate from the undisciplined. This is where people who achieve things separate from people who don't. Let's think about another example that might be relevant to your life. Imagine you're trying to build a YouTube channel or a business. When you first start, it's thrilling. It's a new adventure. You're learning new things every day. You're getting your first viewers or your first customers or your first sales. You're making your first money. You're growing and you can see it happening. The dopamine is flowing. The motivation is through the roof. You feel like you can accomplish anything. You're excited to wake up and work on your channel or business. But then reality sets in. You realize that building a channel or business is much harder than you thought. You realize there are problems you didn't anticipate. You realize there are obstacles you have to overcome. You realize that growth is much slower than you hoped. You realize that you're working longer hours for less money than you would make working a regular job. You realize that there's criticism and rejection. People don't always like what you're creating. The competition is intense. And this is where motivation fails you. This is where the excitement wears off. This is where you start thinking about giving up. But someone who's disciplined doesn't care about these feelings. They made a decision about who they want to be, a successful creator or entrepreneur, and they're going to keep going. They're going to work through the hard phase. They're going to solve the problems. They're going to keep building even when nobody's cheering them on, even when results aren't showing up, even when they're exhausted, even when they're doubting themselves. And this is why they eventually succeed while everyone else quits. This is why they reach their goals while others give up. This is not to say that motivation is bad. Motivation is great. Motivation is useful. Motivation can be a powerful tool when it's available, but it cannot be the foundation of your life. It cannot be what you depend on.
It cannot be the only thing keeping you going, because motivation will betray you exactly when you need it most. Motivation will abandon you in the valley. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't depend on how you feel. It doesn't depend on external circumstances. It doesn't depend on whether results are showing up or not. Discipline is a decision you make and keep making regardless of circumstances. And that makes it infinitely more powerful than motivation. Now let's talk about something that most people never think about, something that is so crucial to understanding how success actually works. Success is not built on big moments. It's not built on impressive actions or dramatic gestures. Success is not built on that one big breakthrough moment that changes everything. Success is built on the small things. Success is built on the daily habits that nobody sees. Success is built on the tiny decisions that you make in moments where nobody's watching and nobody cares. Think about weight loss. What's the difference between a person who loses 100 pounds and a person who gains 100 pounds? Is it one big decision? Is it one day of eating healthy or one day of overeating? No. The difference is made up of hundreds and hundreds of small daily decisions. It's the choice to eat healthy today instead of junk food. It's the choice to work out today even though it's cold outside and you're comfortable at home. It's the choice to have a salad for lunch instead of stopping at a fast food restaurant. It's the choice to drink water instead of sugary drinks. These tiny choices made consistently add up to massive results. One person makes the healthy choice most days, so gradually they lose weight. Another person makes the unhealthy choice most days, so gradually they gain weight. Over a year, over 5 years, over a lifetime, these tiny choices compound into completely different bodies and completely different lives. Or think about financial wealth. You don't become a millionaire because of one big business deal or one lucky break or winning the lottery. You become a millionaire through consistent financial decisions made over years and years. You make the choice to save money instead of spending it. You make the choice to invest instead of wastefully consuming. You make the choice to delay gratification. You make the choice to spend less than you earn. You make the choice to invest your money wisely. These small choices compound over time and create wealth. Someone who saves just 100 rupees every day becomes someone with 10,000 rupees by the end of 100 days, someone with over 365,000 rupees by the end of 10 years. Or think about relationships. You don't have a strong relationship because of one big romantic gesture or one impressive moment. You have a strong relationship because of countless small moments of care and attention and presence. It's the choice to listen instead of interrupt. It's the choice to be present instead of checking your phone. It's the choice to show up when you said you would show up. It's the choice to be thoughtful and considerate in small ways. These tiny moments, repeated thousands of times, create deep bonds and lasting connection. The problem is that these small habits are invisible. They don't feel significant when you're doing them. When you choose to read a book instead of watching TV for one evening, it doesn't feel like a big deal. When you do one workout, it doesn't feel like it matters or changes anything. When you save a small amount of money, it doesn't feel like you're becoming rich. But this is exactly what makes them so powerful, because nobody else is watching. There's no external validation, yet these are the actions that define your life. Now imagine if you could actually see the compound effect of these invisible habits. If you read for just 1 hour every day, in 1 year you'll have read over 365 hours of content. That's probably 50 to 100 books. Can you imagine how much your knowledge would expand? If you exercise for just 30 minutes every day, in 1 year you'll have exercised for over 180 hours. Your body, your health, your energy levels will be completely transformed. If you save just 100 rupees every day, you'll have saved over 36,000 rupees. These are huge numbers. These are life-changing results. This is why discipline is so powerful. Discipline is what makes you show up for these small actions. And when you make these small discipline choices repeatedly, they add up to create a completely different life. Let me tell you a story. There's a man named Haroon. About 10 years ago, Haroon was where many of you are right now. He was stuck. He'd start a project with lots of enthusiasm and quit after a few weeks. He'd make promises to himself and break them. He'd feel motivated on Monday and quit by Wednesday. He'd read motivational books and feel pumped up for a few days and then crash back down. He was frustrated with himself. He felt like he was failing. Haroon had tried motivation. He'd listened to hundreds of motivational videos. He'd read books. He'd feel pumped up and excited for a few days and then quit again. He realized that motivation wasn't working. So he did something different. He decided to focus on one thing: discipline. He decided he didn't need to feel motivated. He decided he needed to decide who he wanted to become, and then become that person through daily decisions. So here's what Haroon did. He woke up every morning at 5 a.m., not because he felt like it, but because he'd made a decision. He was going to be the kind of person who wakes up early. He did it every single day, even when he didn't feel like it, even when he was tired. Then he'd go to the gym. He'd work out for an hour. Again, not because he felt like it, but because he'd decided, I'm going to be a fit person. And fit people work out regularly. For 6 months, it wasn't enjoyable. It felt like a chore. But he kept going because he was disciplined. After working out, he'd spend 2 hours learning new skills related to his work. Why? Because he'd decided that he wanted to be excellent at his work. In the evening, he'd spend an hour reading books. Why? Because he'd decided that he was going to be a knowledgeable person. Before bed, he'd reflect on the day. He was building new habits. For the first few months, nobody noticed. But something was happening on the inside. His habits were forming. His body was changing slowly. His mind was getting sharper. His knowledge was expanding. His skills were improving. His identity was shifting. Haroon was becoming a different person. After 3 months, Haroon started to feel better. He had more energy. His focus was sharper. People started to notice that he looked fitter. After 6 months, the transformation was becoming visible. People at work started to treat him differently. They noticed that he was more focused, more knowledgeable, more reliable, more confident. Opportunities started to come his way. After 1 year, Haroon's life was completely different. Not because something lucky happened, but because he changed. And now, 10 years later, Haroon is living a completely different life than he was before. He's successful. He's fit. He's respected. But here's the key part of this story. Nobody saw the transformation happening. They only saw the results. But the real work, the real transformation, happened in those invisible moments. This is what most people don't understand. They see someone successful and they think it was luck. But what they don't see is all the days behind the scenes, all the times that person chose discipline over comfort. Now you might be asking, how do I actually create discipline? The answer is that you start small. This is crucial. Most people make a critical mistake. They want to overhaul their entire life. They want to transform everything at once. And they burn out. By day 3, they're exhausted. By day 5, they've quit. Instead, start with one tiny habit. Just one. Choose something small. Something so small that it feels almost too easy. For example, you could commit to doing 10 push-ups every day. You could commit to reading 10 pages of a book every day. You could commit to drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning. You could commit to 5 minutes of meditation. It has to be so small that there's virtually no excuse not to do it. The reason you start small is not because big results aren't important. The reason is that big results are the outcome of small actions done consistently. You need to prove to yourself that you can actually be consistent with something. You need to rebuild trust with yourself. If you've spent years making promises to yourself and breaking them, you've damaged your self-trust. So now you need to rebuild that belief. And the way you rebuild it is by making a small promise to yourself and keeping it every single day for 30 days. Here's how it works. Let's say you commit to 10 push-ups every day for 30 days. You do them in the morning when you first wake up. You do them no matter what, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're busy, because that doesn't matter anymore. You decided who you're going to be, a person who does 10 push-ups every day, and you're going to be that person. What happens over 30 days? At first, it's hard, but you do it anyway. And every time you do it when you don't feel like it, you're building discipline. By day 10, it gets a little easier. By day 20, you're not even thinking about it much. By day 30, it feels weird not to do it. You've built a habit. But here's the most important part. By completing this 30-day commitment, you've proven to yourself that you can follow through. You've proven that you're capable of consistency. You know that discipline isn't something you don't have. It's something you can build. Once you've successfully completed 30 days with one habit, now you can add a second habit, still small. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book every day. You add the second habit and commit to another 30 days. By month 2, you have 2 habits. By month 3, you have 3. By the end of 1 year, if you add one habit every month, you have 12 new habits that are now part of your identity. After you've built several habits successfully, discipline becomes easier. It becomes part of who you are. And at this point, you can start bigger changes. but you're doing it from a foundation of proven discipline. Now let's talk about protecting discipline, because there will be challenges. There will be moments where you want to give up. There will be times when your discipline is tested. The first thing is to expect that it will be hard. Know that there will be days when you don't feel like following through. Know that there will be moments when you want to quit. And when you expect these things, they don't derail you when they happen. The second thing is to understand your triggers. What makes you want to quit? Is it when you're tired? Is it when you're stressed? Take time to really think about that, because if you know your triggers, you can prepare for them. The third thing is to have a support system. It's extremely difficult to maintain discipline in isolation. You need people around you who are also disciplined. You need people who understand what you're trying to do. You need people who will encourage you when you feel like quitting. Find people who are on a similar journey and support each other. The fourth thing is to track your progress. When you can see your progress, it motivates you to keep going. Use a calendar to mark off every day you complete it. Every day you mark it off, you feel a sense of accomplishment, and you won't want to break the chain. The fifth thing is to have a reason that's bigger than the discomfort. Why are you building this discipline? Your reason has to be big enough to carry you through the hard times. The sixth thing is to celebrate your wins. When you complete a week of your habit, celebrate it. When you complete a month, celebrate it. These celebrations reinforce your identity as a disciplined person. The seventh thing is to be prepared for the valley. Know that progress will slow down. Know that it might feel like you're wasting your time, but commit in advance that you're going to push through anyway, because everyone who's ever achieved something has had to push through a valley. Here's something critical to understand. Discipline doesn't just change your behavior. Discipline changes your identity. And when your identity changes, your entire life changes. This is the real power of discipline. Most people try to change their behavior first, hoping their identity will change, but it works the opposite way around. Your identity shapes your behavior. Let me illustrate this with an example. Imagine there are two people. Both of them decide to stop eating junk food. Person A thinks, I'm going to eat healthy food. Person B thinks, I'm a healthy person and healthy people eat nutritious food. Both are making the same external change, but there's a huge difference. Person A is using willpower and external rules. Person A has to consciously decide to eat healthy. Person A has to resist temptation. This is exhausting. Eventually, the willpower runs out. Person B isn't fighting themselves. When person B sees junk food, they think, that's not for me. I don't eat that. I'm a healthy person. The behavior is the same, but the experience is completely different. Person B isn't struggling. It's just who they are. And which person is more likely to maintain this behavior long term? It's person B, because person B isn't relying on willpower. Person B is relying on identity. This is what discipline does. When you consistently take disciplined actions, you're changing who you believe you are at the deepest level. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're sending a message to your brain. You're saying, I'm the kind of person who follows through. Repeat this thousands of times, and eventually your brain believes it. You start to see yourself as a disciplined person. And when you see yourself as a disciplined person, disciplined behavior becomes automatic. But this works the other way too. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you're saying, I'm the kind of person who quits. And if you do this enough, your brain believes that too. So every single action you take is a vote for the identity you want to have. Do you want to be a fit person? Then take actions that a fit person takes. Do you want to be a successful person? Then take actions that a successful person takes. And every time you take these actions, you're cementing that identity in your mind. Once your identity actually shifts, once you actually become that person, it becomes almost impossible for you to go back to your old ways, because you're not fighting against your behavior anymore. You're just being who you are. One thing that most people underestimate is how discipline in one area of life affects all the other areas. It's not compartmentalized. It improves everything. Let me show you. Let's say you start with physical discipline. You commit to working out every day. You build the discipline muscle. But that discipline doesn't just help with your workouts, it spills over. Maybe now you decide that you're going to eat healthier. And because you've already built discipline, this feels easier. Now your health is improving both through exercise and nutrition. You have more energy. But it doesn't stop there. Because now you have more energy, you can focus better on your work. Your productivity increases. Your work quality improves. Maybe you start making more money. And now you decide you want to improve your relationships. You commit to being more present with your loved ones. You put your phone away. You listen without interrupting. Because you've already built discipline, this feels natural. Now your relationships are deeper. And now you decide that you want to learn something new. You commit to studying for 30 minutes every day. Because you've already built discipline, this feels achievable. Your knowledge expands. One area of discipline creates momentum. It makes it easier to add discipline in other areas. Your entire life is becoming better. Your health improves, your career improves, your relationships improve, your knowledge expands, your confidence grows. And as these external things improve, your internal state improves too. You feel better about yourself. You feel proud. You feel like you're making progress. You feel capable. This becomes your new baseline. And when you believe that about yourself, you make different decisions. You take more risks. You pursue bigger goals. This is the ripple effect of discipline. It's not just about one area improving, it's about your entire life improving. It's about your entire self-image improving. And this creates a positive spiral. As your life improves, you feel better, which makes you more disciplined, which makes your life improve more. It all starts with one small habit. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's fast forward 5 years. You've been disciplined for 5 years. What does your life look like? First, physically, you've completely transformed. You're fit, you have energy, you feel strong, you feel healthy, you feel good about how your body looks. You have the physical foundation for success. Second, professionally, you've advanced significantly. Because you've invested time in learning and growing, you're skilled, you're knowledgeable. Maybe you got promotions. Maybe you started a business. You're doing something that actually interests you. You're actively building something. Third, financially, you're in a better position. Because you've been saving consistently, you have savings. You have a financial cushion. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You have options. Fourth, relationally, your connections are deeper. You've invested time in the people that matter to you. The people in your life trust you. They respect you. You have genuine relationships. Fifth, mentally and emotionally, you're in a completely different place. You don't have the regret that you used to have. You're proud of yourself. You feel competent. You feel capable. Your self-respect has grown enormously. And sixth, you've developed skills and capabilities that you didn't have 5 years ago. You might have learned a language. You might have become an expert in something. You've expanded as a person. Now imagine if you hadn't chosen discipline. You'd be in the same place, just older and more frustrated. The years would have passed anyway, but you wouldn't have used them to improve yourself. Looking back 5 years later, you'll be so grateful that you made that choice. You'll look at who you've become and be proud. That's the real reward of discipline. It's not immediate gratification. It's the long-term transformation of your entire life. So here we are. You now understand what discipline is. You understand that it's not a talent, but a choice. You understand why it matters more than motivation. You understand how to build it from scratch. You understand how it transforms your identity and creates a ripple effect. You understand how 5 years of discipline can completely transform who you are. But understanding and doing are two different things. The world is full of people who understand these principles, but never actually do anything. Don't be that person. Today, right now, you need to make a decision. Are you going to be the person who gets it but doesn't do it? Or are you going to be the person who actually starts? Because that's all we're asking. Just to start. Just to pick one tiny habit and commit to 30 days. Here's what I want you to do. After this video, take some time to think about your life. Think about who you want to become. What's one small habit that you could start today that would move you toward that person? Not 10 habits, not 5, 1. Something small, something manageable. Maybe it's 10 minutes of reading. Maybe it's 10 push-ups. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk. Maybe it's meditating for 5 minutes. Just one small thing. Think about it carefully. Choose something that aligns with who you want to become. And then commit to it for 30 days. Tell someone about it. Write it down somewhere visible. And every single day for the next 30 days, do that one thing. When you don't feel like doing it, do it anyway. Because that's where discipline is built. That's where character is built. And I promise you, if you do this, 30 days from now, you will be different. You'll have proven to yourself that you can follow through. You'll have rebuilt your self-trust. You'll feel different about yourself. You'll feel proud. And at that point, you can add another habit. This is your starting point. This is where it begins. This is the moment where you decide to be different. And that person is built through discipline. That person is built through small choices made consistently. That person is you, if you decide it's going to be you. So what's your first habit going to be? Think about it carefully, decide clearly, and then start. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, today, right now, this moment. Because the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time is now. This is your life. This is your journey. This is your opportunity. And it all depends on the choices you make today. Choose discipline. Choose to show up. Choose to do the hard thing. Choose to be the person you want to be. And I promise you, your life will never be the same. Remember, discipline is not restriction. Discipline is freedom. It's the freedom to become who you want to be. It's the freedom to build the life you want to build. It's the freedom to look back years from now and feel proud of who you've become. So choose it. Choose discipline and watch as your entire life transforms. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video with them. Let's build a community of disciplined people who are all trying to become the best versions of themselves. I'll see you in the next one.